Hello, it's Katie Eden Todd from Grata, and today we're going to be talking about big love and the only way forward. I'd love to see if we've got some people here because I'm going to need some feedback today about how are you going and how's this week been for you. Hi Abby, I'll give people some time to get on. Hi Kylie, lovely to see you darling. Hi Mum. I have to say I was packing until 5 minutes ago, so my head is bang, 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 but I'll get there. Hello. Oh, Kylie, hi. Lovely to have you. Kylie came to the talk the other day, and Chantel. Look at you all. It's just me today, not Abby and Eden, because this is sort of a more general topic that I want to talk about. Loved meeting you, Kylie, the other day. We were just saying what a gorgeous soul you were. Just so fantastic. It was wonderful to meet you. Love meeting new people from the Grata community. Today, I want to talk about what's been happening in Australia this last week. And I think if we understand what's going on with the fires and what that does for all of us, we've really got to have a very strong sense of how do I navigate this? How do I manage life when hi Hester, there's going to be so many increasing in number crises that come. We haven't even hit summer yet. Nigel's here. Hello, everyone. Nigel's great. He's had a great scientific conversation with Tanya this week. I'm afraid I couldn't join in. Once you get to molecules, I'm not there. Okay, Megan, hi. So we're talking about big love and it's the only way forward. And I'm not just talking about soulmate love. If you've learnt and you've got to that place or whatever, that's fine. What I'm talking about today is I noticed last week that it was really difficult and people got into quite a lot of grief, quite a lot of distress and depression. We've been talking about how there was rage coming through, and people feel free to tick if this relates to you. But some people have been talking about, there's lots of rage, I'm feeling this rage, and I've been saying it's like archetypal goddess energy. Goddesses are just archetypes. They're names of energies that we have to navigate inside of us, gods and goddesses. But there's been this huge energy, so people have felt quite a lot of anger. And I was talking about on the Insta stories that the anger is about having the energy to shift through and to change, set boundaries, say no to what doesn't work, and a bigger yes, a more powerful yes to what you are really about. And I noticed that, I think Eden, you said to me at one point, I'm not feeling this, and some other people said, wow, what's wrong with me? I'm not feeling it. But then this last week, when we've seen devastating fires across the East Coast, just devastating into the wildlife as well, and then fires who've got totally new ways of being. Somewhere where there was a huge fire for 2 and then 2 weeks later, another fire came through. Now, it should not have, according to fire behaviour, but it wasn't burning on the ground. It was in the air. It was a firestorm. And if we look at fire as anger and the firestorm and it's brushing through, it's destroying, it's out of control now because we've got the perfect conditions in Australia of drought, not enough water, and not enough leadership. There's been no leadership for a very long time in navigating this. Hi, Paula. So people felt the anger, but what people have also felt, and nightingales, can you give me a few ticks if this has been for you? I went into it on Friday. I felt very, very vulnerable, very fragile, very like everything in my life had gone. I felt this grief as if my home had been burnt and all my belongings had been burnt and my community had been burnt. It felt like that size of grief. And here I am sitting in my little apartment in Perth. So it's not mine. Whenever a big event happens, like the tsunamis, like terrorism attacks, like fires, like floods, big things, it's like it takes a few days to come through and then starts to go into our psyche. And we do actually feel it. You've noticed, I'm sure, going into a house and there was a raging argument and they come and say, hi, how are you? And you walk in and you can feel the energy, or you can feel there's been some sadness there and people come out. You can feel it. You can feel it at work. You can walk into the atmosphere at work and you can go, whoa, I can feel stuff. We are like a fishbowl. We do pick up all of these things. And I have noticed for many, 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 many years, decades, that when a big event comes, it takes days to come and hit us. And the closer you are to the actual event, the sooner it comes. I've had my close friend from school raging on me and my gifts. I've had to remove her from my life. Sad but necessary. Yes, you felt the same. I'd love to hear from you guys. It would really help me today. Yes, some people are raging. They don't know what to do with the anger. They don't know what to do with the anger. For some of us, myself, ravens and swans and lions, rage is really, really high penny. Rage is really, really easy. That's the go-to emotion. But for others, like nightingales, it will be the sadness. And we look at Venice this week with floods higher and still rising. There's a second flood coming through higher than there has been in 50 years. There's been floods in the UK. There's massive weather events all over the world. Climate change is here. And we can feel this, and it's an existential angst. It's rare, it does happen, but it's rare that we're all feeling something at the same time. Often in our lives, we might have a little crisis. We're a bit lost, we're a bit this. There's a divorce, there's a birth, we have our ups and downs in life. Hi, Josie. But we are all actually carrying in our aura this climate change of unknown. Where do we head? What's going to happen? What will be the future? What's going to happen for our children and our grandchildren? And it doesn't take a lot to be hit by despair. It doesn't take a lot to be hit by real hopelessness and a loss of meaning. And so where I'm coming to now is a realization that we're all getting ready for the 2020s. We're all needing to walk through and have something to contribute. We were born for these times. Hello, Aurora Aurori, what a great name. Lovely to have you. So it all comes down to your philosophy of life, how we're going to handle this. So if we are born for these times, if we are born with the experience that we've had, if we have the gifts within us, within our soul map, which you're going to find out about in Book 2 of User Guide to Humans, if we are here for these times, then we've served an apprenticeship. All of you have served an apprenticeship. And you all have something to contribute. You all have something to contribute. And the 2020s will be the most important decade of our lifetime because we still can do something. We can still make a difference. We're going to have to do it together. We're going to have to be connected to others and not try and do solo runs because it won't work. The feminine isn't that way. The feminine is let's draw together. So when I talked about the big love the other night, which was a wonderful night at the Sound Temple in Sawyers Valley, beautiful place, beautiful sacred energy, we all went inside for a little bit and we all connected with how am I really feeling now? And I'd invite you to do that right now. Just close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and just really center yourself and feel where you really, really are. Just taking a few moments because we get so disconnected and go into a child avoidance pattern when things come in. Now, when catastrophes and crises like the fires come, we can't just shut down and avoid and go, I don't want to know about this, I don't know about this. The adult in us needs to actually bear witness and see what's going on. You don't need to drown in it. We don't need to overwhelm ourselves with countless videos and news reports or whatever, but we need to be aware. We need to be able to sit and feel what's happening collectively because it will take us to another place. I started by talking about anger, how if anger is a moving beast and energy, power, if anger moves, you will move to change. You will move to change in your life. And we're going to need a bit of that power to change. People who are very angry first need to learn how to cry because under their anger it's tears, and that's the softening and the melting, and that stops them from being wildly ambitious and ruthless, and which is lion stuff, and helps them to have a lion heart instead. Totally different focus. Who can relate to them needing to learn how to go to the tears instead of the anger in their life? That they need to surrender and feel the vulnerability because that's what makes us safe. That makes us not go into the toxic. So for me, that's been my whole life's work. Those of us who've got a strong inner masculine, I've got to balance it with a feminine, and that's bringing the tears. But then there are others like the nightingales in particular, but dogs could feel it too. But I'd say particularly nightingale. that they can get swamped by other people's grief, that they can just pick it up. Sparrows will pick up other people's grief too. They will pick up these collective feelings. When I named it for me, hi Dale, when I named it for myself on Friday, that I was feeling this grief as if I had lost my whole world, and I hadn't. The more we heal inside, the more we collectively heal. Hi Dave. Exactly, Nigel, that's exactly it. It's very, very powerful, every shift of consciousness that we individually have. We're making a contribution every day. When we get stuck in our tears, in our sadness, in our depression, we've got a go-to place. Can I just ask if there's some nightingales who've gone there this week, and if they could just share a little bit about maybe what they felt with the heaviness that's going on. If you felt that distress, and then, of course, what would a nightingale do? It's retreat. It's retreat. I have to wait for a little while for comments to come through because it's not exactly on time. What I will say is, have we not all had a very big year? Have we all worked through an enormous amount of stuff? Have we all been triggered and gone to new places in ourselves? I know I have. I feel like I've done a lot of literal work, but I feel like I've made a very big shift in myself about how I am and who I'm going to be as I go forward to the future. For instance, talking about the bird scripts last week, where I heard one the other night where a raven said, people love me or hate me. And I thought, oh, that's a bit familiar. It's been my script my whole life, but I'm actually not taking that with me. It can't come through the eye of the needle. I'm not taking it with me. So there's been a lot of dropping off about stories that we need to let go of. Some people said, I've been fighting my whole life. No more fighting. No more fighting. I think many of us here on this page would feel like, yes, major anxiety this week and feeling heavy and exhausted. Yeah, heavy and exhausted. Yes, very, very sad and retreated. It's been a massive shift in the last 6 months for you. Hi, Sienna. Yeah, thank you. Felt quite heavy with bushfire energy. Your nightingale felt it deeply. Yep, last week with the fires, had a full day of intense anxiety. I knew it was the collective, so I could kind of handle it. I really think it helps to know. I think it helps to know enormously that it's collective. And then what can we do when we feel that? Next week, yes, you've had a hard couple of days, haven't been processing things as they happened through the end. It's all caught up with you. Thank you, Eden. So it is a hard couple of days. I think if you've been really pushing it and growing and pushing it, we actually get a thing called heart exhaustion. We actually get a thing called soul exhaustion. Yes, heavy, bad coughs. A lot of people had big headaches. People were talking about on the full moon, which was Tuesday, that they had awful headaches. And that's always about shift of consciousness, by the way. Headaches are about changing the way we see things, which we have to do big changes now. So bad cough, yeah, expressing a new story, Kylie, a different story. I know several people who lost their voice entirely. It's like, I can't keep saying the same story. I've got to find my new words about how I go forward. So interesting. Take everything as symbolic. Take everything that's going on as symbolic. So we may be very, very exhausted after this year. Change fatigue for you, Eden. Brilliant. Absolutely. And so what is going to work if we've got change fatigue, soul fatigue? And then you've got the fire stuff, which the nightingales and the sparrows and the ravens are going to pick up. So what could we do for ourselves? I'd love you to write to me now and say what things have worked for you. What suggestions do you have? I think we need to rest. I think we need to be very, very clear with our child. This is the boundaries of steel stuff. I'm going to talk a bit more about this today. The boundaries of steel is wherever I see child toxicity, in the child masculine, be it aggression, anger, you're talking about that, Kylie, Martin, that you had to say stop, enough, that's a sign, that's a boundary, that's self-respect, that's a very important step forward for you. And it will have a line back to your childhood and about what your whole lessons are about for your dog. So brilliant work, brilliant work. We need to have boundaries of steel with where our child wants to take us when we feel a lot of things. See, you need to rest, Esther. Meditation helps big time. If you could find some guided visualizations and meditations that work for you, some you won't like, some you'll just be appalled by. If you could find some that worked for you, it's like rest is definitely part of it, but it can't just be rest and I binge on Netflix. Because how does that feed our soul? If our soul is tired, if our hearts are tired, And our bodies have now succumbed to the exhaustion on a very, very, very deep level. Well, what works for your soul? Music can work. Go and hear some music. Play some music. And Nightingales, you don't get to sit there and play all your sad Jeff Buckley music. It's like something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit lifting you a little bit, but you just appreciate. We're not trying to change it. What I love about Nightingales, if they do have the capacity to love and to feel deeply, and they are making up for all the fuckwits out there, so I had to lighten it up a bit, who don't want to feel, who can't feel. You take some time out to reflect and just know deep down that things will work out. I know Mother Earth will heal. A holiday is good, absolutely. You danced your ass off yesterday. I could see your sparrow doing that. I hope you know you've got a sparrow parrot there, Joe Josie. You've just started jiu-jitsu. It's perfect for Swan Beaver Owl, Dave. Fabulous. So sometimes you can't go on a holiday, but a break in routine, I would say, is an absolute must. A change up, a day where you put a line through and go, I'm having a mental health day. I'm having a soul health day. Healing music, time in the garden, time in nature, a little picnic by the water. Sit by the beach, feel the salt and the air and clear it. And put out an intent. Put yoga meditation for you. Movement is good. Can we all remember that when we're in child, the child doesn't want to lift a fingernail to help ourselves. We sort of drop into it. So I can stay in rage and just be shut off. People can go cold. People can want to shop, and get things, find things to try and meet that place. People can get busy and have a cleaning spree in the house when they're already exhausted. This is the day we're doing the spring cleaning. This is the day we're cleaning out the kitchen cupboards, the pantry, when they're already exhausted. Yeah, those things can be good, but you need to choose your time. You need to know who's directing you. Is it the child or is it your adult? So we do need to physically rest, but it's not enough. Is what I'm trying to say is it's not enough. We need to not isolate too much, but also have time and retreat to be able to ask ourselves, does it feel like I'm picking up on stuff that's more than me? And where does my child, I'm asking you to ask yourself this question, where does my child inevitably go when my life is a little bit challenging and it's too hard? Where do you go? What's your natural self-destructive pattern that you might go on? What happens for you? And where's the line where it becomes self-punishment and not healthy? Because there's a very fine line of I need this, but if I stay there too long, it becomes like a self-punishment. Could people relate to that? I'd be really interested. Rachel, you're feeling a collective frustration at seeing our earth and our people hurting. My intention is healing today. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. If we go too much into the frustration, we add to the fires. We add to the fires. Your child gets fearful and overwhelmed. We can get cynical. We can be ranting about the lack of leadership. Connect with nature. Have some laughter is a great idea. Hugs, a massage, like a healing massage, a Reiki session. I always think, it's not going to help much. Some Bowen work. It won't help me much. And I can't believe how much giving myself 1 hour, when I allow myself to go deeply inside myself in there, I can't believe what a huge shift that it makes. So I also think connect with your tribe. Connect with people who can understand on the same page. Maybe have a little group chat that you have. Dog food for you. My adult keep on telling me, not that hard on cheat day. Catastrophize big time. If you're catastrophizing, draw the line in the sand. What I started doing after my anger stuff the last few weeks was I started eating like a dog, Abby. It's really interesting. I was putting up, it's not a place that I often go to, certainly haven't gone to a lot for over 15 years. I did as a kid and teenager and early 20s. But I started eating sugar food, and I was putting on weight to put a boundary around me that I didn't want to be engaging with some particular toxic masculine. And so unconsciously my child went to there. But what happened was, of course, when you have sugar, it'll make you be more brain fog, more tired, more chronic fatigued, make you heavier, because sugar actually isn't soul food. And the second I worked out what it was, you're finding it harder to go there or stay there. At least I can see what it is now. That's great. Gave yourself 30 minutes on Friday to be in child, and then put in my boundary and got on with it. I love that, Kylie. I always say to my sparrows, but I say to myself too, you can have a short meltdown, and I'll listen to what you've got to say, and then that's it, but I'm going into what it really is. I'm going into what it really is. So for me, I also I was writing the book and I thought, I don't have time to go and look at why am I eating sugar stuff when I haven't been eating sugar stuff for a very long time. And then I realised it was an unconscious adolescent response to put up a barrier around me, which of course doesn't work, and then made the heaviness and the chronic fatigue and the brain fog, everything 10 times worse. The minute I got it, I stopped and my body started to come back. And I need it to come back. I need to look after it well. So yeah, you can have a treat. I know, Abby, you like your treats. We can have a treat, but make it not sugar. Make it healthy. Make it something that will actually energize your body. You can have a treat. You can go and see a movie and be in a different world for a while. So you let go of your intense focus on your own life. A change of focus can be very, very helpful. Don't isolate too much. And then the other ones will socialize too much and be busy beaver, work, busy, and they don't stop to reflect. So what we've got to so far, are these ramblings helpful, by the way? Because I really did jump in from my suitcase packing to go on tour for 3 weeks to bam, switch on, here we go. So what we've got to is we need to be very aware when there's things in our vicinity, in our world, locally, in our country, next door, New Zealand, like the Christchurch massacre, absolutely affected all of us. When you have to concentrate deeply on something else, that is a really great thing. Great rambling. Thank God I've got Parrot. Oh, thank you, Rachel. I'll tell you what, because my lion raven's going to go away from this today and go, dreadful. How hopeless is that? When we are vulnerable, when we are in child, when we are struggling and we are fatigued, and I'm deeply fatigued on many, many levels. Hi, Leonie. I'm deeply fatigued on many, many levels. And when we're talking about soul fatigue now, heart fatigue, mental and physical fatigue. Our child is ruthless and comes in as very, very critical. Oh, Aurora, you sweetheart. Keep rambling, says Nigel. Excellent. Well, I will. Our child comes in as very, very self-critical and can bring up the guilt and shame stories and the mistakes. And, I could sit on the plane flying to Adelaide later this afternoon just crucifying myself because I'm a raven. So what am I going to do? I could crucify myself. What's a swan going to do? Ambush themselves with real pessimism and suspicion and sarcasm. What's a nightingale going to do? The nightingale's going to go into deep bereavement for the world. But we're not there yet, so don't go there because it doesn't help. Don't allow your child to go into grieving what's not there yet. We're going to work out what we are going to do. The sparrows orphan themselves and leave themselves feeling frazzled and anxious, and it's catastrophic, and I'm going to die and I'm going to be an orphan even though I might be 63. Remember, the adult is a light child, so it's really hard. You can't orphan yourself and leave yourself ungrounded. The peacock's going to go into the shallow stuff, the materialistic stuff. The parrot's going to over-socialise. People who are hedonists are going to overindulge. We have to have boundaries of steel now, not to go there. Ours might shut down and retreat and be in books or in learning and just be very not present with other people. You all know where you go. You all know where your dog will be more subservient. Lion's more bullish and dictatorial. Beaver's more ridiculous, micromanaging, controlling. That might not just be with others, it's with yourselves. Think about this with yourselves. So, we were talking a lot on that Friday night about what love is and what love isn't. I'm going to save that for after the tour and maybe do a podcast with Jessie about it as a summary of it's all about balance, Josie. All about balance. And we've all had a big year. We've all had a lot of change. We've all been challenged. You could all write to me now and say, I was challenged in this, I've changed my perspective on this issue. I'm more adult here, I'm less child here. There would be loads that you could all see the growth. In fact, maybe just take a moment right now. Think about who you were this time last year. What was going on in your life? I'm just going to have a little quick think myself. It's really interesting. And then think about a lot of things if you can. What was the work you're doing? Where were the people you were with? We talked about on Friday night how the 5 people you spend most time with very much shape your world. Who are you spending time with? Has that changed? Kylie's talked about changing that. Many of us are changing that. Many of us are changing who we spend time with now because the contract is over. We're finished. We've learnt the lesson and we can be grateful for it, but we're having a nice clean boundary now. So, where were you 12 months ago? Fucked, in other words, Dave. Beaver. I hear you're not as much fun as you could be, Dave. It's just a whisper that I heard across the psychic parameters from Melbourne. I get to meet you this week. I'm really looking forward to that. If you're a fairly serious, yay beavers, if you're a fairly serious person, and I am, and take everything seriously and work and have that sort of mentality and can be quite removed, and you don't even know you're picking up on these energies, but you are, you need to make an effort to have some fun. And if you're married to someone who's fun, like I am to Trevor, then we need to take their leadership so we have balance. This is what Joe Josie's saying, balance. When I finished the book, well, I thought I finished the book. That's another story. When I finished the book late Thursday, Trevor said, let's go and celebrate. Would never, ever, ever have crossed my mind in a million years. I would have just come, sat down, watched my Nordic noir series, go to bed. That's my treat. Beautiful. Serial killer stuff, shadow motivation. I'm there. That's as much. How much more fun can there be? That's as good as it gets. Instead, Trevor and his peacock and his beautiful sparrow said, no, we'll go and have a drink. We'll go and have a drink by the water and we'll just sit there, hi Jilly. And we'll acknowledge that this is done. No, you can't buy it yet, Nigel, this book too. And I'll tell you why. I had a lovely conversation on Friday with Abby, and he says, man, no, we cannot do it like this. So there's a little bit of editing to do. It won't take long, and I'm actually going to see Eden and Abby in Canberra next weekend, and that's exactly why Abby is here, and that's why he is a swan, and he helps me build it, and he protects me, and he makes sure it's exactly the right way for everyone. So, yeah, it was like that. It was a menor. So one bit that I thought was really great, it's not going in this book, it's going in book 5, but you're going to get it. As long as you don't miss out on it, that's all good. That's all good. So, rambling away here, rambling away. We have to do things in teams. It comes back to the feminine way. I know my old way was do it myself, by myself, in isolation. Some of the stories we have to let go of now are, I've got so much more work to do. I just hate myself so much. I just am so not ready. I might in time. No, that's not it. That's not it. Oh, let's have a look at this one, Rachel. As an inside out of curiosity, which personas are likely to turn to the bottle partying to blow off steam and hide whilst a child? I used to be, parrot, darling. You've got no peacock or parrot. Oh, you might have a bit. I don't know which one. Sparrow could do it too. That's interesting. I would have said peacock, parrot, and sparrow, but also Nightingale has got Dionysus in there as well, so they can go there a bit as well, but they're not a party animal. The party animals are peacock, parrot and sparrows, of which my peacock is not, because it's 5th. Parties are my idea of hell. Don't invite me to any. I'm not coming. I'm telling you right now, I'm not coming. Moving back to where we were, how far have you come in the year? What do we need to do in these times? Next week in WA, there's going to be temperatures of mid-40s. I think it could go across the Nullarbor and be high 40s on the east coast of Australia. This is really, really big. Some following dog could go and party. They could, Abby, that's true. They could, but then another bird would have to link in. There'd have to be a little bit of something else. Absolutely, the dog might come along for the fun of it, true. Swan's also a drinker. Yes, swans change. They can be really quiet and mute at home, get a couple of drinks in them. They can become really friendly and funny and when they're on something, whatever their preference is, and then they shut down again. So also I would say some swan, maybe Rachel. So we need to reflect and we need to be very, very, very aware what's going on in the world, on the world news stage, that might be impacting me, and ask, what does it feel like? This is how I figured it out this week. What does this feel like? It feels like everything in my life has been burnt down. Oh, you got kicked. Oh, okay. I don't know why. I hope you're back. Be aware of that. And then we've got to find a place where we don't go into hopelessness, despair, cynicism, anxiety, overwhelm. Like Kylie said, I can have it for half an hour, but then it's not helpful me to stay there for too long. It's the boundary of steel. We don't want to have it drop down the rabbit hole. So we need to acknowledge to our child, you're exhausted. This is just like an energetic psychic tidal wave that has come over you as well. We need to stop and change what we're doing right now. A bath is really good. Water is really good. I can't believe how much that helps. Getting to bed earlier, having some healthy food, just saying, I'm going to go really, really gently. And if it takes me days, a week, 4 weeks to slowly come out of this, that's fine. There's no pressure, but it's acknowledging it and it's attending to it from your adult in great self-love, great self-care. Now, one of the things that we talked about on Friday night, which we got to, I was doing a feminine chat like I'm doing today, which is, it's organic. It just goes where it goes. I love having Eden and Abby, or just Abby, on with me, because that sort of helps direct it. It's funny coming back and doing one-on-one, but that's cool as well. Because this is how the feminine works. The masculine has the plan. We have a structure. We have dot points, and we go that way. So I had some ideas of what I wanted to do on Friday, and then I let it take its course. And we got to a really great place that I would not have planned. Bath, grounding, healthy food, movement, breath, breathing deeply. When we're in child, we don't breathe. Technical issues, Swan's getting prickly. Okay, am I not? Oh my God, well, I hope we're just going to have to hang in there and watch a bit later. I hope it's going to work. We're still in Mercury retrograde really powerfully, guys, so expect technical issues. It's a little bit about that chaotic stuff that's coming in on all sorts of things as well. Like Barnaby Joyce this week. That sort of chaotic, deliberate misinformation, deliberate distraction to take us away from the focus of what the real issues are, and the lack of leadership on the real issues. Try not to get caught up in them because we're being played. The people who died were probably Greens voters. That it's magnetic resonance from the sun. Speaking scientifically, which makes absolutely zero sense. Watch out for the deliberate curveball red herrings. Trump's a master at this. Morrison's really good at it. He asked people like Barnaby to go and do it for him so that we don't look at what the bigger picture is. Just watch them, be aware of them, but don't get taken down the rabbit hole, because it's deliberately taking you to grief or to anxiety or to anger and despair. We don't need to be there. We're here for a reason. So what we got to on Friday night, which is what I wanted to talk about today, was in understanding the sacred masculine, the healthy masculine now. The sacred masculine is taking a step back. And you saw that picture of me with my arms right out like that I put on for Sonic Grata. And that was the sacred masculine saying, I will now have a boundary of steel to anything, any energy, any person, be they female or male, any gender of any description, toxic, masculine, aggressive, blaming, fighting, warlike energy. Yeah, you love when you're talking tech. When that energy is around me, and we've been in it, the sacred masculine will have a boundary of steel, and I am not going there. Because we then go into our ugly versions of ourselves, and they don't hear us, they don't see us, nothing changes. All that happens is we get taken to an old child pattern over and over again. So the sacred masculine comes forward and says, I will honour the feminine. I will be the foundation for the feminine rising. I will have deep love and respect and honouring of the feminine, which is the only part of our beings that can birth. I will protect you from any toxic. And how I will do this is I will have a boundary of steel where we disengage, do not engage, move on, sever that part of our lives, whatever is required. I will no longer play that game or that story of 2,000 years. Anyone relating to this as I speak about this? For me as a raven, I have fought those energies with my rage, with my righteous rage, from those powerful archetypal energies, goddess energies, for 2,000 years. And I'm tired of fighting. And the breakthrough for me as we get ready for 2020s is, let us not engage in war. We're all pacifists. Who thinks war's a good idea? Spending trillions of dollars of war is a good idea? None of us do. So why are we engaging in war? If I need to step up, you definitely do believe in war, Abby. Is that what we're talking about? Thank you. I'll see where you go with that. Tell me more. This sacred masculine, this protection, which I think Abby actually plays for me in my business. He is the sacred masculine protector who holds the space for how my feminine heart wants to go and birth to the world. He is that role for me, absolutely. And we're masculine led first. No, you're not about war. Okay, great, you're joking. I was joking. We aren't about war. So if we want to birth from the feminine, it's about not doing it individually to get the glory with the ambitions of glory and success. It is about, I want to have fire in my heart now, not fire of ambition, which is a Michael Meade thing. I will always name the people I get this quote from. The masculine setting the boundaries. And I got this from Brené Brown and Russell Brand were doing a podcast. And they said the most compassionate people in the world have boundaries of steel. And I thought about that phrase for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks because I found it really intriguing. I couldn't quite get what they were saying. And then I really, really, really got it. When the toxic masculine is around, which we're all around, and it's crumbling, we're finding that people are in workplaces where the toxic masculine, meaning there is no feminine balance. It is definitely toxic when the heart is not there. When heart and soul are absent, you will have built a toxic structure and it starts to come down. And we see this in all layers of life, and it is crumbling. It is crumbling. And it is crumbling in us, and they are the toxic stories we have about I don't do this, I won't do this, I believe that, all the restrictions are toxic masculine stories. You love that phrase. When you heard it, it got goosebumps. It's truth. Thank you, Penny, and it's not mine. It's their phrase. I love it, and we can see in our world with dark lion, dark masculine, dark peacock, where there's been all this greed and exploitation of Mother Earth, and we have severed our connection to our inner nature as we have disconnected from Mother Nature. Again, a Michael Meade idea. What a shock to see toxic masculine and females when I was 20. Wow. Well, if you'd met me, Rachel, you would have said I was one of them. Because I have been an angry raven for so long. And the rage comes from pain. This is why I'm saying the only way to heal the rage and not get stuck there is to go to the vulnerability and the tears. And that's why I had and chose Nightingale as my underneath in my core identity before I was born, because I needed to have the chronic health break me weekly for decades so that I had enough tears to be able to melt her rage so that I could find my raven love. So we have sacred masculine. I will hold the space. There's some beautiful men's groups around the world now who are saying we own what the masculine has done in the dark and in the past and how dark it has been. We own where that has taken us. We own the horrendous abuses and the systemic abuses of women and of the feminine. And that's in men too. Men have been destroyed with strong feminines, have been destroyed by toxic masculine. We have ancestral trauma, we do. And there are men who are saying that they get that now. And I am saying that as someone who has misused masculine power for many, many lifetimes. I am saying that. And we have to own it, we have to feel it, we have to go to the tears. And then we have to say, now I understand what sacred masculine is, which is honour. It is respect. It is living in harmony with nature. It is not about greed, it is about passion of the heart. It is not about glory and external, it is about inner. It's also mean that masculine toxicity is masculine issues. We've got to own that. We absolutely do. We chose to be the genders we are when we were born. So the men who have been born have said, I want to be part of the healing of that. We might have contributed when we were in child, definitely, along what isn't healing. But I want to be part of the healing of that. And we who have chose to be women, Trevor says he's never ever going to be a woman. I reckon he'll have to be one next time because he said that. We who've chosen to be women have brought in ancestral knowing of generations that it's our time now. Tanya was talking about being at a great course in Ireland this weekend and how the women were all leading it and the men were just not understanding the concepts. And I said, well, this is how it's going to be. There's a few of you who are here, which is great, and there's the men who want to learn it, but it's the birthing process. It's the being a mother. It's the birthing, the feminine line that we bring through. Some men have got it, a lot of women don't have it because they're not connected inside. They may be severed from this part of themselves. But when you tap into your heart and soul enough, you connect in with this feminine knowing about how we go forward. And so what I'm saying now in these challenging times, of which we need to expect more, she is not your rehab on Facebook, is gorgeous. Men dealing with abuse and trauma, etc. So good to see the divine healing working through men. Men just love having their feminine acknowledged and being given permission by themselves to feel and to love, to cry and to enjoy and to hug and to touch and to join together. We all need it. Everyone needs it. We've got to find the balance, which Joe Josie said. It brings me great hope too. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not about, the feminine way is about not leaving anyone behind. However, We're going to have the sacred masculine, ensuring that we don't keep playing our old games from our childhood scripts where we have those same battles with people but just different cast members. One of the things we talked about on Friday was how we have our family replicas in partners, but you can also go and be working in a work environment that feels energetically exactly like your childhood. And when the childhood wasn't good, that's not a great thing. And that will bring out in you the worst of yourself. You'll slip more into childhood. It weakens you and makes it harder for you to find your way out of there. The sacred masculine setting the boundaries of seal also has the courage and the strength and the leadership to say, these are not the right places for us. So that work environment that's so toxic and actually has people in there that you have to deal with day in, day out for many, many hours a day that trigger you going back into your child. This is not right for you. If I had stayed in my first marriage to a very decent man, but if I had stayed in my first marriage, I would not be the loving human being I am today. I would not be doing this work with you today. I would not have the heart that I have today. I would not have changed into an almost completely different person to what I was today. You can't stay in those childhood environments, be they a marriage, be they a job, be they a friendship, be they a university course, be they a pathway on a career that does not align with your north, what you're really here for. If you find that happens, you'll have this crushing and this shrinking, and you become less and less of yourself. And I asked people who were in these places on Friday night, and I asked myself when I was in that first marriage and when I was in the wrong course, how much of me was left? 25%. I reckon at my bad times about 15% of me was left. When I did the wrong courses, when I tried to learn Raven work, when I did Raven work and I was trying to do that through our studies at university, I got down to 15%. I was absolutely tearing my hair out. When I was a trumpet teacher, I was absolutely depressed and soul sick beyond belief. I was a professional trumpet player and then taught trumpet during the day. Oh, almost suicidal. Like, that was how bad it was. So you get down to such a small part of yourself. Other people said I'm down to 10%. What we need from our sacred masculine is we need to get the strength of our sacred masculine to say, we will be okay. This is not okay for you. I am taking you out of there. Think of an adult elder masculine taking your little child out of those places and saying, no, you can't go back. We talked about being relationships where we're in it and then we're out, and then we're in it and then we're out. And then we go back and maybe it's changed, nothing's changed. We have to have more and more awful things happen. And then we keep going back. The sacred masculine is the boundary. We're not going back. I love you too much. It's like taking your inner child to a toxic daycare where they get bullied, where they get hurt, where they get pushed around, they get told to be something they're not. Would you take a child there? Well, we're being asked now as we come into the 2020s, any place that's out of alignment, our soul can no longer tolerate it. We're exhausted. We're exhausted. And our soul is saying, I can't compromise like this anymore. So where might you be compromising? It might be, you might have done a lot of work and you might be in a good place, but it might be a story about, well, I go like this, I'm like this, and I go like that. It might be about how you're feeling today. I'm like this and I go like that. What might be a different story you could say that still honours you about where you are today, but maybe doesn't jail you and then to become a form of self-punishment? That's a beautiful line. I got that from Penny from the group. She said to me, there's a point where it's healthy, and then I can tell when I'm in dark beaver, I'm in dark this, dark sparrow, dark nightingale, when it grows into a form of self-punishment. It's starting to feel toxic now. So we've got to have with the sacred masculine this boundary of steel, which is based on love and compassion, deep love and compassion and honouring of who we are, that I will not allow your child to take you to those old places. They will not work for you. You had a beautiful conversation yesterday in their 50s about what they wanted. It was beautiful. They were asking for the sacred feminine. Oh, one of them was your partner, Josie. How wonderful. There's a very rapid change of consciousness happening now. The quicker we change our perspective and awareness of what's really going on. So where we got to on Friday night was, yeah, you're not going back. I love you too much. That's it. I love you too much to make you go back to that job you hate, where those toxic people are abusive children that remind you of your childhood. I'm not taking you back to that relationship where you're unseen. I'm not taking you back to that relationship where it is not love, where it is what love isn't. We spend most of our lives dabbling in what love isn't, and it takes the adult and elder in us to say that's what love isn't, we're not going there. So, I asked people on Friday night, what if we brought up our children and we asked ourselves, how did you come to love in the planet? You came to be here at the age you are in the 2020s. What was the love that you came to bring? What if we asked our children, how would you like to love the world when you grow up? I love that. How would you love to help people, to be of service? Because we came to do some work. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be coming in and out. We're going to be thrown off our foundations every now and then. But then come back, reflect, go deeper. What does this feel like to me? What's mine? Pick up your child, love him, love her, hold her, nurture her, do the loving soul stuff, the soul food, the heart food, the nature food, the stillness food. And then remember, but I came here for these times. I chose to be here for these times. And this is what I came to bring. And every single person who comes and just honours, I'm not an environmentalist. I can't actually go and help with the fires, literally on that way, but I can bring love. And that can be a water and a balm energetically to that energy that's firing it off, because Mother Earth is raging and she's crying in her floods. And the more I get into bringing in the love, that helps to tone these things down, and then it helps connect us with other people who do want to help and do know the answers. And I think in Australia over this summer we're going to have a change of consciousness about climate change this summer because of the crises that are going to happen. There'll be enough of awakened people saying policies have to change, you've got to change direction. Following New Zealand would be a really, really smart idea. Following Greta Thunberg would be a really smart idea. But this wave is happening and Mother Earth is making sure we get the alarm, and instead of falling down, we go, how did I come to love? Because my way of loving, be it I look after these little kids, or I'm doing these beautiful mandala artworks, or I'm doing these creative things over here, or I'm holding the space for Katie to do this work, or I'm going to talk to people around Australia. I will do that, Abby. I just come and love the way that your personas came to do. Come and put out to the world your intent for love, and to send love to those places. Don't send fear and anxiety and depression and cynicism. You're allowed to have it for a short while, but then pick up your child, boundary of steel. This is how we need to go forward, and this is how we came to love. And I am feeling liberated because my sacred masculine and feminine have been integrated. It's taken me 57 lifetimes, I reckon. And I'm here, and that brings you into elder when there's a balance and they're there. And I can do this. And so I don't need to say the story, everyone hates me or loves me. It's just irrelevant to me now. It certainly was true for 2,000 years. I don't need to say that story anymore. What I want to say is, I'm here to see people. I'm here to love people. I'm here to listen to people. And I'm here to bring through whatever I feel like I can and be present in the moment. And you know what? That's more than enough. And that's what you can do, is be you're more than enough, and to be present. Now, Abby's saying, could you give us a quick word on which persona is feminine, masculine? Lion, strongly masculine, but there's a bridge to a passionate heart. Beaver, masculine, though it has got in the light feminine mediation and diplomacy skills and calming down and bringing down the fires, and that's a feminine side, so that can have a little bit of both. The dog is feminine, so if you think masculine, lion in the animals, dog, feminine, beaver's got a bit of both. Interesting. But you get dark, when it's dark beaver, there's no feminine. It gets swamped by the masculine, doing, money, security. And of course, there's not going to be a lot of security when you can't get mortgages and you can't get insurance, and how our whole housing system and our whole way of working is going to change. It's breaking down that belief and that mentality of that's the way the world is. That's crumbling now. So we need to trust that we can find our path. When we say no to what love isn't, and when we say no and have the boundary of steel from the sacred masculine who will no longer let us betray ourselves that way, and we find where we want to love, doors open, we walk into alignment, we have a pathless path. You can't follow anyone's path. You will find your path and doors are open. You've got to have the courage then of the lion to leap and go, I'd love to do that. I'm daunted by it, but I'd love to do it. So you go and do it. So that's the animals, masculine, feminine. In the birds, swan, masculine, raven, masculine, owl, masculine, head. Peacock is the halfway point. Peacock in shadow is masculine. It's superficial, it's materialistic, it's about consuming and hedonism and all those things. But in the light, there's a halfway point. The peacock and our world peacock energy that we have going on at the moment needs to move into heart. It's not about reality fucking TV. It's not about The Bachelorette. Do not do that crap about what love is, how mesmerizing and addictive it is. But something in my soul is deeply, deeply offended because it's permeating a message out there for young ones. And I know people say, oh, I get it. But the more we talk about what love isn't, we show what love isn't and pretend this is about love, the longer it takes for us to get to what love is. We need to be living and talking and walking self-love. Then we need to be living and walking and talking and feeling love of how we connect with people and love of how we give what we came to do. And we need to be pacifist in our life and not fight. We can speak strongly and passionately. The feminine's not weak. It's passionate. Fuck, I'll take on anyone. Oh, see, there's the odd stuff. But I'll speak it loudly from the rooftops, but it's rare that I need to. I'll call it out when I need to, but it's going to have a power of love as a wake-up call. So we need to go and love now and not keep engaging in those old walls. I don't want to be in those old walls. And neither do you. You want to go and love now. You want to have the wonderment of the light child and bring some magic in life, some sunshine in life, some delight. So if the peacock's the halfway point, if we get adult peacock, then the feminine love part comes out of the peacock. A sensuality. That's a healing energy. There's a lot of healing in peacock where they want to help people really learn how to self-care. If you want to learn self-care, light peacocks know how to self-care. They've been doing self-pampering in the Royal Palace for 1,500 years. They know about pampering, but it's actually really, really helpful. We need that now. Our souls are exhausted, not just from this year, from this week. We're exhausted by this 2,000-year journey. So then we have the parrot, which is feminine. It's all about tribe. It's all about community, sharing. It's not about money. It's about, I've got this talent, let's sing, let's create, let's dance, let's have music, let's do environmentally sustainable clothing, let's buy second-hand, let's be colourful, let's not be consumers, let's be environmentally aware. That's light parrot. Nightingale, let me heal you, let me touch you, let me remind you of what love is. I am a messenger of love and hope, and I can listen and have compassion for you, and we can find our way through to a different place where we remember what our message is. Hi, Bon. And then we have the sparrows who came to bring the light child, the quintessential light child, the eternal forever child, which is the play. Do you not think that light child, fun and beauty and play and love is a great antidote to terror? It's a great antidote to give hope and energize us, to laugh. And there's a magical child. Magic helps us remember the mysteries of life, that there is a world behind the world. And in this crazy world with so much that is unraveling now, it actually looks like it's totally chaotic, but I do not believe it is. I believe that this is all unraveling, but there are threads of the garment, of the tapestry of life, and this is Michael Meade, that are waiting, and this is ancient mythology, that is waiting for us to go and pick up our particular thread that we're very gifted in, and the colourful thread we've got, and we go and start sewing it in our community, sewing it in our friends and our families, or once we've got that sacred boundary in about not having the fucking toxic masculine or toxic feminine, which, trust me, is out there and plays games with the toxic masculine, and both are codependent and both enable the other in a really, it's actually nauseating way. There's toxic in both. I'll always say that. So we are now in a place, toxic is now of whatever variety within us and in our life. The sacred masculine loves us too deeply for us to engage in that now. And then there's this freedom. I can love, I can contribute, I can get excited, I can be energized, I can self-nurture, I can say no when I'm too tired, I can give myself time, because the feminine gives us time. It doesn't have that strict deadline. The feminine can give us time to birth properly and bring all the qualities. I can do it with others, with those beautiful people that I met on Friday night, and how we'll do more of those conversations on the couch next year. We can come together. We can do 2-day workshops where we use sound and music, and we go vibrationally deeper into ourselves, and we connect with the world soul. I connect with all of you people every day in the Persona Grata community. Katrina said this week, I could just live here all the time. And I feel like that. It's like we're all together, this virtual community. It's incredibly loving, incredibly powerful. It's knowing we're not alone. And I think, how would we be if we did not have each other? And we were experiencing these energetic forms of grief and fear and anxiety and worry. And if we were feeling this on our own, in our own little rooms, in our own little houses, not knowing what was going on, love is the rising tide that will elevate us all. I'd love you to come to my workshop, Sound and Vibration. We're doing it. It's a 2-day workshop where I'm going through the history of the personas, telling the stories of where they were with music, drums and gongs going through. So we go into that part of ourselves and we find that part, we connect to the ancient lineage. That sounds really fantastic. And it'll just be, I only be able to do small groups because we're going to fit 14 people in the sound temple. It's a literal beautiful sound temple. So it'll be first in, best dressed. But I will do many. We'll see how many people want to come. It's going to be extraordinary and take the work to another level. So, yes, people that get excited about it, we'll let you know. That'll be at the Sound Temple. So to summarise today, all of us are being asked to have boundaries of steel, of where our child pause, see where our child's going, and find a different way of being. Find a different story that's not limiting. Someone was at the group on Friday night and said, "Oh, I saw another being with you, Katie, while you were talking, but I don't see things like that." And they closed their eyes and they saw it again. And I said, "That's the story you need to let go of. That's a limiting story. You don't need that. We don't need the I don't do this, I don't like that. We don't need the I don't stories anymore. I'm not like that. Oh, I've got so much more to do." That's you abdicating from where you are. There's no place to hide now. The fires and the floods are telling us it's our time. And 2020 is really... So wherever you are ready. You will make mistakes. I am going to make some glorious mistakes. But what you'll hear from me is when I make the glorious mistakes is I will do the apology, the heartfelt apology, and I'll learn from it. You cannot live a full life and not make mistakes. So don't let fear of mistakes stop you. I've had lots of mistakes. I'm alive, of course. We need to go fully forward now with the strength and the boundaries that contain us so that we are free to show the best of us, the love of us, the heart of us, the power to birth a new way of being, the power to birth a new way of loving and being in the world. We are connected, we support each other, we bring others in, we make resources available for the vulnerable. That's what we're here for. We don't spend it on wars, and let's not spend our time on wars. It's crazy how it feels like we know you even though we've never met. The community is amazing. I feel like I know you people as well, and there's the sharing this week, the depth of honesty of what's going on. And every time you have that intimacy, our group is going to an amazing level of intimacy and honesty, and there's no negativity. I just feel so blessed. We are reconnecting. And it's back into the collective consciousness, and that's the world soul. If you go reflect deeply enough, and if you have those moments, say there's another fire next week, or there's a flood, or there's something happens in your family, an unexpected event. That's the thing, and we got tired, and that's what will throw us into child. Say that happens, go deeply inside and find your connection to the rest of us, to the soul of the world. Yeah, where's Katrina? I think she's out gallivanting, Nigel. I saw pictures of her kids out playing. We are a soul tribe. We have even specific tribes. I'd love people to say, I want to talk to my owls here and have a conversation. Nightingales talk to each other out there. Ravens, let's have a conversation. Others come in and learn about us. Sparrows often, of course, the sparrows share a lot. Swans talking. Love to have those specific things. I'm finding this with my sparrow, with my dog, with my raven, with my lion, with my beaver. Those conversations are great. All the Facebook Lives now are on YouTube, so you can come and rewatch these, and please subscribe. Please let other people know they're there. The podcasts have gone down really well, and Jess and I are very excited to do a lot more of them on topics that matter, about where we're going, but we actually are going together. So even if you are in your room at home, make it a nurturing place to reconnect, to have stillness. Find out what your sacred masculine wants you to put a boundary in. Find out what it is. And then find a way for deep soul love. And then remind yourself of why you're here. And when you've replenished enough and given yourself heart and soul food, you can gently go back out there. But we're here for a reason. And I, for one, am not giving up, and I'm not full of despair. I don't know the outcome, but I know I'm going to give everything that I have. And that will be enough, and it will make a difference. And we can all make that difference. So, anything anyone want to say or ask as we come to the end of today? I got through it. It was a bit rambling. I will own that. But it was all about what we need to do. You love the podcast together with reading them. Yeah, the podcast, oh great, fabulous. And then when you get your map book soon, the whole three go together really, really beautifully. And then the YouTube, these Facebook Lives on YouTube, it's like you've got such a wealth of information there to start getting very, very clear about. I've got to let go of the I don't do this, I don't like this, I can't do this. All of those stories have to go. All right, my darlings, I'm going to meet a lot of you this week. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm so looking forward to it. It's a very full-on time. Oh, thank you, Abby. It's a very full-on time for my nightingale, shall I just say, coming in exhausted as I am from a very big year. But I feel like I'm going to be able to, like my mum said, she was putting out this beautiful intent for me, just to float above it and really enjoy it, and really just, and it's going to be lovely. So I'm going to let it be what it is. I'm not going to go in with dark old expectations. That's another thing to let go of, our expectation. It's going to be like this. How about we just be in it? Hi, Leanne. Thank you, my beautiful soul family, for being with me in this. It changed my life. This community and being seen like this has changed my life, and it's set my Raven free to know what a loving primal mother she is, and I love that. So thank you. I'm going to do some lives on the road. I don't know whether I'll do a Sunday live or not. I'll post and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see how it goes. But I think I'll put up after each show, I might do a little one on Persona Grata each day and just say we talked about this. Might be 10, 15 minutes, something like that. And just so you feel like you're a part of it, and I look forward to meeting you. Even when you have so much coming up, I can't wait to see you on Tuesday, Dale. Dale's one of my dear friends from university when we were doing music at uni 35 years ago. So we're both musicians, did a lot together. Can't wait to see you, my darling. All right, beautiful people, look after yourself. Go gently in these times, and share how it's been for you and whether you've been able to look after yourself better this week. And I would have enjoyed to tell everyone how to see if you're more feminine or masculine with your personas. Well, you can watch it again, Katie. I'll post it. Maybe next time we can have a conversation about where you are at. But that's book 6, Abby. We've got a little thing for you to be able to work that out. But that's book 6. All right, my darlings. Lots of love. Thank you, John. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.